All right, welcome back to another episode of Cameo Podcast. It's been well over a month and a half since I've done this, and I reached out to my next guest much longer than that, but he's a busy man. I've come into contact with him a couple times through business, through my wife who goes to his salon. It's Ken Kozuki.
Yeah.
Kozuki. How often do you have to correct people on that?
A ton.
All right, we'll
It's
talk
not too-
really close.
Okay, there we go.
We'll be like one fist away. And so, when I first reached out to you, you were International Fashion Week or something, or Vancouver, something was going
I
on.
think we jumped right from Vancouver Fashion Week to Tokyo Fashion Week. So it was a pretty intense couple of weeks there.
So how does a guy from Kamloops end up on the international fashion stage?
One of my best friends in New York, his name is Giovanni Giuntoli. He also owns a company that helps supports stylists as well as makeup artists, photographers, and grows that side of the business where it's more session work and editorial. So it's then the brand name is called Tear Sheets, and he really just kind of raised my brand and behind the chair and at Fashion Week. So he got me right into it. We started rolling with like editorial, and then it went right into like my first show, I think, was like a celebrity show with him. So we slinging hair with these celebrities, crazy celebrities, and they're doing a red carpet runway show. So it was really cool. So that's how it was the first one, and it was done. Like I was right in there. I loved it.
Did you grow out of Kamloops, or did you move to Kamloops?
I grew up in Williams Lake, British Columbia.
In Williams Lake, really?
Country boy.
Like looking at you right now, you do not look like you belong in Williams Lake. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's I guess you just kind of when you get out there and you're surrounding yourself with other artists, you kind of like you create your own brand because we're all doing the same thing, right? So it's individuality and.
So that's your preferred term as a hair stylist is artist?
Well, I guess, yeah, I guess, what you do is your artistry is what you do, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and that's a
exactly.
conversation that I guess a lot of people don't really understand, right? The art of just a conversation.
And your craft, what you do behind when you're not recording.
Very
right?
true.
So it's pretty cool.
People only see the 1%.
That's right. Yeah, that's totally true. Like even behind the chair, or Fashion Week, or if we do a photo shoot, you only see the final image. It's like the last, before they walk out the door.
And then something could go wrong too.
Well, there's all those things that could happen backstage or behind the chair, or
So did you start cutting hair in Williams Lake, or did you move to Kamloops when you started cutting hair?
I started cutting hair in Kamloops, so it was Interior Academy of Hair.
Oh, really?
And then went right on to slinging hair behind the chair.
So Ra, your current location, which we're at the 5 Bean Brew Bar on Sahali, because you're just around the corner. Did you guys like repurpose that place, or did you build it? Because it's very funky in there.
I was one of the original staff members to that location. I was there for 3 years, and then opened up Ra, and then we moved around town, and then we bought it 5 years ago. So we took it over about 5 years ago. So it was repurposed essentially, but I knew the bones, and I knew what was, what I was getting myself into. So
What was like jumping 2 feet into entrepreneurship, supporting yourself with your artistry?
what was it like?
Yeah.
I mean, it was all consuming with the business. So when you're doing business stuff, you lose your artistry, your craft. And so going into that, it was a fine line. And, I'm pulling about 6 days behind the chair, Monday to Saturday, and, doing 12 to 14 hours behind the chair.
Oh,
so
wow.
there's not a lot of room to like play, but going to New York and getting those adventures, or doing the journey behind like Fashion Week and editorial stuff, then you get that little push to keep on going.
How do you think Kamloops could like learn from fashion?
Oh God, I think we're growing as a community, and I think there's emerging artists that are actually designing that you don't really hear about. So they're growing their brand in Kamloops and Kelowna. So there are things going on in this location or this area of Kamloops that are, eventually it's gonna pop. They're gonna start popping up more and more. And I think, with the international university and a lot of things coming in and out, I think we were growing as a community, as in fashion, and I think it's gonna.
Totally.
It's coming, yeah. Sure.
It's really cool to see what the fashion shows the TRU students just throw, right?
Yeah.
Just for their streetwear lines, and the idea of streetwear, which you're visibly impacted by, is very interesting because it's the masses who create the value for guys like yourself to almost then channel, right? Does that make sense?
I guess it is. It's a little bit of underground, and that's what I'm drawn to, because the underground, everybody's trying to do something a little different, and it's not mainstream. So I really appreciate that. Again, going back to artistry and the creative,
it's how do you differentiate yourself even more?
Yeah, totally.
Or low key, so that it's very subtle, signaling to only very few people. It's very interesting right now, especially if we look at some of the biggest pop artists right now, right? Especially in the underground rap scene, right? You have your Lil Xans and Trippie Reds and whatever.
Yeah, totally.
It's very wild, and I think I'm a wild person, and they take it next level.
It's awesome though. It's like and that's how you get the creative juices flowing, is the being inspired by emerging artists that are trying just to pave their way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a part of Kamloops though that holds people back in the artistry, just because of the culture that is surrounding Kamloops?
Well, I think my career in Kamloops, like the 19 years that I've been here, I've never held back. I've never, I've always pushed my boundaries, and I think being creative and being trying to be that standout person, and whatever you're doing, I think the inspiration is just to be yourself and not hold yourself back. I mean, where our community is mainstream, blue collar, and we I think everybody accepts everybody. I don't think I've never had a problem with allowing myself to be that creative person.
Yeah, and so obviously you're getting your brand helped built by your friends internationally. Who are you trying to help build in town locally right now?
I mean, besides the SPCA and the food bank and doing that kind of stuff, but it really comes into, I need to share the wealth, what my knowledge is, and so I give it back to not only my staff, my junior staff, but we really try to support the hair schools in town and just try to give back as much as we can, because it's all about sharing the knowledge and growing other people.
Absolutely, yeah. I was watching a podcast live yesterday, and it was talking about how education is the only industry that has never changed.
That's so true.
And it's wild to me, right, of knowing how powerful technology is, right? And that's where this whole talk of 5G comes in, because it's all next level stuff, but it's all terrifying at the same time. I'm not sure if you've looked into it, because the Canadian government's fighting about it. But in theory, you could be cutting someone's hair in Japan from Kamloops. That's the level 5G brings us to in terms of technology and the internet.
Isn't that nuts? Especially with education, it's so at our fingertips right now. And so, we're seeing a lot of, the hair shows are kind of dwindling, and it's all online right now. So it's interesting. Do
you think it's that online world though is changing the fashion hierarchy? Or is the fashion hierarchy just adapted the model very well?
Well, and with fashion, it is always going to be at the top of any food chain when it comes to what's going to be coming up next, fashion, science, industry. It's all at the forefront, right? So they're at the top of their game, and they're trying to stay one step ahead of anyone else. So it's interesting. Same with hair too,
totally.
and makeup and all that kind of stuff.
It's a wild world. It's totally wild. Jetsons had it pretty toned back. Like, imagine if Jetsons was actually still wild to you right now, watching it, and like, I've been watching a lot of really old cartoons because of my daughter.
Yes,
I don't like the current cartoons. But what's something that people often misunderstand about you?
Oh God, that's a great question.
It's my favorite question.
Wow. I'm not sure. I'm pretty compassionate. I'm really, giving person. I think I take a lot of things seriously because I'm passionate about it. So, I think I might look a little, RBF, a little bit of resting bitch, but it's like,
I like the word stoic, actually.
Or
depressed. Either way.
It's the same thing.
Or stoned. It's all the same shit to me.
Oh, man, because there's a lot of stuff going on, like, behind the scenes, like, not in the salon, not only in the salon, but, we have 36 people in our, for our staff. And
you employ 36 people?
Yeah, so,
that's insane.
It's, my mind is like I would say an anthill, or like a like that kind of thing. All the little pieces that are working and moving, and little moving parts, like, there's a lot going on, not only in the salon, but in my head, because like, I'm trying to choreograph a symphony of hair and, just
their own
those
micro cultures and dramas and other stuff. Yeah,
and that's the same thing with, like, Vancouver Fashion Week. Like, I think there's a lots going on. It's hard to be really like dance around everything, but it's a crazy madhouse, like, when we're doing Vancouver Fashion Week compared to other ones, other fashion weeks, because we do 15 designers at 25 models per show, and we're doing 7 days. And I think people think that I'm really organized, but sometimes you just have to fly by the seat of your pants and
totally.
Be creative. And I think I don't think a lot of people know that I have so much going on in my head. Maybe they think I'm a little bit more simple than I look.
Oh, I totally relate to that.
Yeah.
I like to say I thrive in the chaos.
Oh, same. I love it.
Well, other people might, like, lock up. Like, yeah, I have all those same feelings they do. But I just start seeing a path, and I'm just like, I'm going to go that way. And it's very interesting to see who is there to, like, let's use the analogy of trail running, because I used to actually trail run. I've run 2 ultramarathons.
Nice.
The analogy of who's going to hand you water, who's going to push you along, or who's going to say, hey, why are you doing this? Just sit down. Yeah. Like, you have nothing to prove. It's like, no, I have this proof to myself. I'm fighting with myself, not anyone else.
That's a push.
Yeah, totally.
It's pretty amazing.
But what would you like to see Kamloops blossom into in the next, I want to say 6 months? Because, like, I have no patience. Like, what would you like to see happen that you think, in a grassroots, artist-driven idea, a meme? I'm all about memes.
Okay.
What would you like to see develop in 6 months in Kamloops?
Well, I'm seeing like a lot of drive with our art community. I think that's coming along real. It's just pumping. Music's coming along, like it's it's soaring pretty fast. So I'm really enjoying the ride with that. Seeing, like, a local artist, like, paint and do their craft, and
Kelly Wright and Stace Wolf
are
all about the murals right now, and it's killing it. Like,
oh my God, Stace Wolf, we just got 3 pieces from him, and they're just unbelievable.
Yeah, he's my mate. He's super cool.
Totally.
His story is fantastic. His art is so unique. It's just unfortunate it doesn't fit for my wife's taste.
I had to grab a couple pieces and just put them up, and we were starting to feel a little bit more like in our 60s in the house. So taking some pieces down and putting some of his artwork up, it brings me back to the the 90s, and it just feels like it feels a little bit more youthful in the house.
That's what I think, though, is funny about the art community, though, too, is like, we're talking about Stace Wolf because we know him personally right now. We value Stace for his ability to create, not just the art he's created, which I think is a funny way the internet, they flip it. They only view the content, not the create. Like, it's a weird world, right? Because we know Stace is at, like, I don't know, year 1 of his artist takeoff, right? Like, he's
What's
on the
gonna
way up.
happen? Oh man, I just can't wait. The stuff that the medium that he's producing is just like, I just want everything. I was looking at his gallery last week, and I was just like, oh, I want to take everything just because it's so fresh. Like, there's his eyes are so fresh and so inspiring.
It also, it doesn't seem like it fits in with a mural here in town that's like been approved to go up, whatever it be, right? It still has like some real element to the street, which is why I was really excited when I saw 808 Bench and Landon create that District 73 graffiti thing, which we don't need to talk about because that's apparently a decisive issue in this world. Like, they're school children.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool.
But I don't know. I think it's very cool to see how art is starting to take a change and take a driving narrative in this town, which has been very blue collar.
Yeah, and so like not only that, but like with the international students coming in and fueling the, like, not even just the artistry in here, but it's like also the food, the foodie. Like, we're seeing a lot more things popping up internationally and a little bit more Vancouver-esque, I would say.
Oh, it's that Japanese influence.
Oh,
like,
totally.
Like, I grew up reading manga. Like, I've finished many series, right? Like, what do you see in Japan happening right now that you start to see flourish? Because when I was driving here, like, I legit have not been on the South Shore in probably 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I just stay on the North Shore. And coming up, seeing the international students, seeing like this couple, and they had matching shirts that were like Dragon Ball Z. And I'm just like, that would not happen in my high school.
No.
You do not do that. You would be an outcast. Like, it's interesting seeing that influence coming here.
Oh, man.
What do you predict is going to pop on over from Japan to Kamloops?
I think not only the food that's happening, it's getting, I think it's influenced, the influence of food, but it's like the clothing, like the branding, where all that vintage is coming back. And in Japan, there are so many vintage stores, like not only jewelry but luggage, but the clothing is just like, it's all coming back. It's 90s big time right now.
It's like
all those printed shirts. And
at what point do you think culture gets diluted with so much diversity, or is that just creativity? Right? Like, will at some point the money stop? I guess.
No, it's just gonna keep on pumping. Like, we're in fashion, like we have a 5 to 7 year turnaround, so like it's always going to repeat, it's always going to come back. It's not going to be stifled at any means. And then when we have these new up and coming artists emerging, it's it just keeps on injecting the fuel, and I don't think there's going to be a stop in that for sure.
Crazy.
So yeah.
You're playing the long game for sure, holding it down in Kamloops. I respect that. Huge.
Thank you.
What's something we haven't chatted about that you want to maybe just bring up?
I really see a lot of stuff going on in our community, and I'm just really like, I'm glad, I'm so happy about the support that I've gotten from my clients and my team, and I can't wait to see more artists emerging, and just the craft is so.
We're such in the early games. Like
totally.
Kelowna's had its cultural revolution.
Oh.
Ours is happening right now, and like we're actively able to, put our impression into it, which
it's happening.
It's exciting,
and just being able to do this international stuff and bring it back home. Like we're putting, getting Kamloops on the map. Not only like Kamloops, but BC. Like people are starting to see not just New York and LA being, in North America being like a hub. Like Vancouver is coming to its own, and Toronto's already there. So just kind of these little points being brought up,
or even just Vancouver firms like, are actively setting up satellite shops in Kamloops, right? Just because they need to be able to employ people who can afford to live.
Totally.
So it's very interesting for me to see. Like, so we're sitting in what used to be a Starbucks, and then it flipped a couple times, right? Now it's a very modern thing, and they're opening on the North Shore now. Which
great.
They're taking over Leon John's location.
No,
so Five Bean
cool.
Brew Bar will be across from that building that Kathy Sinclair's going to live in with the micro suites, right? So like the word Joshua Knack uses is integration, right? So Kamloops is actively integrating with the local community. So it's very, very exciting right now.
That is very cool. I love that.
Yeah. I have to start being careful of my wording because sometimes I use wording that people take the wrong connotation of, right? So integration is the correct one.
Yeah.
Where gentrification is really a negative term, right? Like but I guess, everyone's learning. I'm learning.
Yeah,
Education,
totally.
man.
That's all about. That's what it's all about, for sure.
Awesome, Ken. Well, where can people reach out or learn more about you, Ra Hair Studio, or who do you want to shout out?
Well, my team is pretty amazing, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be who I am today. Ken Koz Hair on Instagram and Ken Kozuki on Facebook. Ra Hair Studio on Instagram and Facebook as well. So check it out.
I think you're capped out at your Facebook friends pretty well. Isn't that such a funny thing? Like Facebook friend. I have this whole theory about Facebook friends, but anyways, whatever.
I know. I think it's we. In the beginning, it was just like friending everybody because you just wanted to see everything going on, and now it's like taking some out so you can put the real people that you've actually touched. There's so many people in this world, right? Capping out at 5,000 people on Facebook. It's crazy.
The follow for follow scheme of Facebook, when you did it back in like 2006 to 2012, right? Like I actually deleted my Facebook in third year university and wiped myself off of the first 10 pages of Google, which is a lot of work. But I did it so that everything out there is now approved, right? But if I had kept that Facebook account, oh my gosh, I'd be so much further ahead.
Isn't that crazy?
It's because by first year university, I had 1,200 friends that I actually had communication with regularly.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't it? It's weird. Super weird.
And that's what and coming up to today, the Instagram is the future, and that whole
Instagram is the future. If you can adapt to IGTV, in my opinion, right? So I've been messing around on IGTV with audio, visual, movie narration stuff and animations because they're starting to push it. They're starting to push it hard.
They are,
and so if you're an early adopter and you figure out the system, then you win.
Yeah,
right. Just like how it looks like you jumped on the Facebook wave when I think Facebook really existed. Now it exists in a different way.
All the ads and the, it's a totally different medium.
I can get 1,500 views in 24 hours on just about any video, and it doesn't matter how many likes the page it has.
Yeah.
It's about creating the content and distributing it to Facebook groups. But that's a whole.
Wow,
it's a whole other theory.
Totally,
it's a lot of work, and you're trying to cut hair or create podcasts and do other stuff. Man, it's. People don't understand that, they really only see 1%.
I have girlfriends that could, something happens backstage, they release it on Instagram and, it's going on fire. It's just on fire. And I'm like, how do they just know all the little things to do to get it going.
It's human psychology, right? It's that intersection of art, science, philosophy, right? To understand what the algorithm means to understand psychology, but also a bit of engineering of computers and all this sort of stuff,
totally.
right? So it's very dangerous in many respects too, right?
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't understand who I am. And also, I fight with trolls online because I'm a better troll. But that's a whole different story, right? It's that in itself is an art, right? To make someone able to get outraged at you, but still keep them at bay, so you're perceived as the good guy is a whole nother. I don't know. I'm concerned about Kamloops, so I troll hopefully for the right side.
Oh, totally.
I hope. And if anyone thinks otherwise, please call me out. I have thicker skin. I hang out with battle rappers.
I love it.
Anyways, Ken, thank you so much for chatting with me. You are probably got to jet to the chair now.
Yeah, for sure.
Have a great week.
Thank you so much. Thank
Cheers.
you for having me.
And if you're new, please consider subscribing to the Cameo podcast. I'm a little bit sick sounding because my daughter brought something home. Find me on Instagram, Twitter, whatever it be, use hashtag community. That's honestly going to be the easiest way to find anything, or maybe to support other artists. It's KAMMUNITY, hence community, puns and shit. Anyways, thanks for listening. Have a great day. Cheers.